Ready. Play.
Hello there, and welcome to the final power ranking of the WTA before Wimbledon. These are the players that I think have the best chance of winning the title and definitely have a very good chance, the strongest chance of going deep in the tournament to at least week 2, quarterfinals, semi-finals, who we might expect to see in a final. So I hope you're all ready for Nick's top 20 power ranking.
Top what?
Ahead of Wimbledon. Okay, no, don't worry. It's not actually a top 20. You can calm down, John.
I said do 10, but 20? We're hemorrhaging subscribers as it is.
You don't need to edit that many pictures in. But it was a really tough list to narrow down because I know I've been having a very consistent list up to this point, and I don't think you'll see that many different names on the list. To be honest with you, what I will say is I was having a look after looking at results across Eastbourne and Berlin and Birmingham, to a certain extent Bad Homburg, as well as the previous grass court tournaments, but they have been factored into the ranking already. And it was really tough. I genuinely do have a long list of 21 names who could go in, but past 10, it gets ridiculous. So I would say one other caveat with this ranking is obviously it's not a perfect system. You've seen the flaws with it already in that Karolina Muchova wasn't on my Roland Garros power ranking, and she ended up in the final. And let's be fair, I don't think anyone called her making the final. To be honest, I think the draw worked out really, really well for her, and then she put in a magnificent performance against Sabalenka to earn her place in that final and could have won it, given how well she was playing. The other thing I want to say is, being honest, had I done this power ranking last year using this system, Elena Rybakina would have been an honourable mention, but probably wouldn't have been in the top 10. So maybe keep more of an eye on who I put in the honourable mentions list than the top 10. I'm very tempted to list a lot of honourable mentions. There's definitely Eastbourne quarterfinalists like Madison Keys and Camilla Giorgi. I think we can expect to see them making the last 16, but I don't realistically see them winning the title. Maybe Keys. But if I look at genuine, more likely dark horse contenders, you're looking at people like Ludmila Samsonova, who's doing pretty well at Bad Homburg. I think she might be the favourite to win that title. If you look back to results from Germany, Veronika Kudermetova making the final in Rosmalen, and then beating Arina Sabalenka on her way to the quarterfinals. The only reason she's not in the top 10 is because there's an injury concern. Similarly with Beatrice Haddad-Maia, she played Eastbourne, she got a good start, and then had to retire against Petra Martic today. There is an injury concern with her. She's not in the top 10. Daria Kasatkina did very well to make the quarterfinals in Eastbourne. That's a name we should probably keep an eye on. And to be honest, I think the closer names to the top 10 would be the opponent she beat, Karolina Pliskova, who has now dropped out of the power ranking. I don't think her grass court warm-up has been that impressive. she's probably a threat. I could see her making the second week. I don't expect to get much further than that, because the critical thing about the top 10 is, I could see a lot of these players I've just mentioned making second week, maybe quarterfinals. But the latter part of the top 10 will be people that I would not be surprised to see in the quarterfinals or even a semi. Jessica Pegula is a name that has done well at Eastbourne, is number 4 seed, but given her history on grass, I'm not expecting her to take that too deep into Wimbledon. There is one name that is probably the closest to the top 10 out of anyone on my honourable mentions. So I think it's probably worth addressing her. I should have said, John, you probably didn't need to put any pictures up or anything like that for my honourable mentions. You can just throw names on the screen, or even just let me ramble. They're not necessarily gonna they're only worth throwing out there in case one of them wins, and then I can look like I know what I'm talking about a little bit. But I didn't put them on my top 10. But there's one name who's very, very close to the top 10, and the only reason I didn't put her in is because she's had some very good grass court wins so far. She's quarterfinalist in Berlin and Eastbourne, but I just felt that she was getting through opponents that she should beat. We've yet to see how she'd do against a slightly tougher test on grass. But Caroline Garcia looks like she's getting her mojo back on grass. And I wouldn't be surprised to see her taking this 2 quarterfinals from the 2 grass court 500 events in the lead up to Wimbledon and using that as excellent momentum to go deep in the tournament. Just 4th round last year, arguably should have got further. Quarterfinals at Wimbledon in the past. Loves grass, clearly. Bad Homburg champion from last year. I think Caroline Garcia is very much one to watch at Wimbledon. But I think the name that I think is a stronger case for one to watch is at number 10. It's the Berlin finalist, Donna Vekic, simply because of the performances that she put in Berlin to beat Rybakina and fight her way to the final, beating some very top caliber players. I remember the WTA Weekly episode that's just gone. Every player I seem to mention seemed to have lost to Vekic. And she pushed Kvitova in that second set, could have taken it to a third. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe we'd be talking about her in very different terms, and she'd be higher up the list if she'd won that match. But we know how difficult Kvitova is to beat when she's on. So Donna Vekic is a new entry on the list at number 10. I think what might be holding her back a little bit is finalist. That can be a bit of a momentum killer. We've seen that in the past. So we'll have to see how that one goes. I'm going to rattle through next couple now. Number 9, Barbora Krejcikova, the Birmingham finalist. I thought she did pretty well. I think that first set against Ostapenko that she played in Birmingham was really impressive. She managed to hold her own against the onslaught that was being thrown at her by the Latvian, who we know does very, very well on grass. Barbora has wisely taken a break, but she was kind of surprised with how well she did in Birmingham, how well she was playing. She didn't drop a set on the way to that final. I don't remember dropping a set. So I have to put her at number 9 on this list. I think she is going to come into Wimbledon with a lot of confidence and could well spring some surprises at Barbora. Number 8, Karolina Muchova was ranked pretty high up the first couple of episodes. Some people might be surprised to say, why is she still here? She's the only one on the list, in fact, including the honourable mentions, that I have said who hasn't played a grass court warm-up tournament. What am I doing? Well, look, she's the defending French Open. She's the French Open finalist, but that's not enough. I talked about how good she is. Muchova was almost number 10 on my list, but then I looked something up. As I've said multiple times, she quarterfinaled on her debut at Wimbledon, followed that up with another quarterfinal, and arguably was unfortunate with the draw last year against Halep. So what does that mean? Muchova, in those years she made the quarterfinals, lost her one and only preparation match, which I find interesting. One and only grass court preparation match. Arguably, she's had more rest time. She clearly isn't a player who needs grass court warm-ups to do well at Wimbledon. I think she's going to put herself with a very, very good chance of getting herself a quarterfinal with the right draw and maybe even enough rest time to get her further than that. So Karolina Muchova is number 8. There is that concern, which is what's holding her back. But, great grass court players don't need to play warm-ups. Look at Serena Williams. Look at Ash Barty. Not saying that Muchova's in that category yet, or even maybe even ever will be, but her grass court pedigree is undeniable. Number 7, Coco Gauff. Again, darling of Wimbledon, last 16 on debut, last 16 in the second time appearance, third round on third appearance. Had a bit of an unfortunate matchup with Amanda Anisimova that prevented her from making another second week. She's a quarterfinalist at Eastbourne. She got there pretty impressively. I'm interested to see how much further she progresses, if so. She's got Jessica Pegula in her quarterfinal. But Coco Gauff, I think, is very comfortable on grass. And I think she's putting herself in a very good position to make a first Wimbledon quarterfinal, at least. Number 6, Ons Jabeur. Here, out of hope more than anything else. Her grass court preparations have been great. First round loss in Berlin. And then last 16 loss, so second round at Eastbourne. But hey, as I said, Elena Rybakina only won one grass court match in preparation for her Wimbledon title. Jabeur, finalist last year. She's getting closer. Loves the grass. Maybe not high on confidence right now, but I would be more confident backing her than any other player I've mentioned so far. And there's no denying that when she's on, she is probably has an affinity with a surface that very few other players on the tour do. So Ons Jabeur is at number 6. Number 5. And to be honest, 4 and 5 swapped around a lot. And I think I've put this person at 5 because I am not... I don't know if they're going to run out of gas. And that's the big question, the biggest question. Because number 5 and number 4 have very similar traits. Number 5 is Jelena Ostapenko. The Birmingham champion. She's reached the quarterfinals in Eastbourne. I did not expect her to do that. I thought that maybe she'd play 1 or 2 matches. She's proved her point. Maybe she'll lose her quarterfinal match. I don't know. But Ostapenko on grass at the minute is a dangerous combination. Arguably, she imploded in the 4th round of Wimbledon last year. Otherwise, I think we could have seen her in the semi-finals against Jabeur. And I don't know how that one would have gone because that would have been very different. Maybe we could have had a Rybakina Ostapenko final. And we know how that probably would have gone, given how their meetings this year have gone so far. But Ostapenko maintaining momentum is not something she's known for, but she did interest me with her answer in the Birmingham press conference when she won, when she talked about her game and how actually she's learning to, she's teaching herself to rein in the margins a bit. And maybe we're going to start seeing a much more consistent Ostapenko going forward. We're seeing signs of it already in 2023. Ostapenko, I think her biggest threat is a final. It is winning Birmingham, followed by a quarter-final in Eastbourne. Too much preparation. I guess we have to find out, really. I think it's hard, like in recent years, to perform at this higher level for more than a couple of weeks at a time. So the last player, I think, who, the last player who managed to do that was Barbora Krejcikova by winning first Strasbourg and then Roland Garros. But arguably, I don't think Strasbourg had that tough a field compared to what Ostapenko had to get through. So, look, if Ostapenko wins Wimbledon, which I think she really could, and I've been talking about her for the last few years as a dark horse to win Wimbledon, it wouldn't be a surprise, and it would be a really impressive feat for the Latvian. And I would say my top 5 are the people I think most likely to win the Wimbledon title in increasing likelihood. Then let's see how we go. Number 4, as I said, very similar to Ostapenko, could have swapped one way or the other. Number 4, Petra Kvitova. Is number 4 because she won Berlin, which arguably she had a tougher draw. I know I said Ostapenko had the tougher route because she kept on going to 3 sets and it was a lot more physically challenging. But Kvitova did win Berlin. It was a 500. 7 of the top 10 players were there, and she beat a very strong Donna Vekic in the final, and that was just one result. Like, she had Karolina Pliskova in round 1. It was a tough fight, especially since she was coming back from injury. And Kvitova had one of those weeks where she was on fire. I think Kvitova and Ostapenko suffer from the same problem in that they look absolutely on fire and then dip straight away. I thought Ostapenko would suffer that dip in Eastbourne. Maybe Wimbledon's coming. I think they're just as likely as each other to have a dip. I think it was that physicality element plus winning the bigger title. And being a previous Wimbledon champion, there's elevated Kvitova to number 4 on this list. But both of them, the reason why they're not higher is because they have a consistency issue, and there's a potential for them to run out of steam. Which is why number 3 is Iga Swiatek. Yet she's still number 3 on the list. I think the reason why she's number 3 is I'm more confident in her being able to go deep in the tournament with the right draw than I am anyone else I've mentioned. And that's it. And I think that the fact that she's one of the current WTA Big 3, consistently reaching finals or going deep in tournaments, is going to stand her in good stead. Her bad Hamburg form looked very impressive. That set down comeback against Tatiana Maria was very significant, I think, because it's the first time she won from a set down on grass. The first time she's beaten a top 60 player on grass, and she beat a seasoned grass court veteran. On top of that, she's looking a lot more comfortable on the surface this year and probably is not running out of energy in the same way as she was last year. I think Swiatek's going to be more of a threat in 2023 compared to 2022 at Wimbledon. She needs the right draw. It'll be interesting to see how it works out on Friday. But regardless of that, I think her consistency is what's going to keep her here, keep her in the mix. Let's see how. I'm not reading too much more into Bad Homburg. I think she's got a good couple of match wins. Jill Teichmann was another good win for her. See how it goes. Number 2 is still Aryna Sabalenka. That loss to Kudermetova wasn't great. She wasn't playing that great, but also Kudermetova was playing amazing. I still have full confidence that Sabalenka can turn it on Like, look, she dropped out. She lost in Rome in her first match to Kenin, who arguably very similar circumstances. Someone very comfortable with the surface, having a good day, and Sabalenka not being quite at her best. And she turned it around for the French. And Sabalenka has much more of a chance of success at Wimbledon than she does at the French. So, for that reason, Sabalenka is second on the list. I think she's very much the second favourite for Wimbledon. But I also think she's far more likely than anyone else that I've mentioned to win the title. I think she's coming for it. She's a semi-finalist a couple of years ago. Arguably a much better player now. But number one is still the defending champion, Elena Rybakina. Yes, she got to the last 16 in Berlin. But she had a very similar preparation last year when she won Wimbledon. Yes, she's still recovering from a viral illness. But she's looking good in practice from what I hear, feeling confident. And she should be, because that Vekic loss wasn't that bad. She won the first set on a near perfect tiebreak and only got broken a couple of times the rest of the match, in which Vekic was playing really well. If this is Rybakina, who's still recovering from illness and made it close, I think the rest of the field should watch out, because she's going to be healthier at Wimbledon. And maybe we've got someone at this year's Wimbledon who can become someone who rules at SW19. The Ice Queen returns on the opening Tuesday at Wimbledon. So there you go. Slightly longer power rankings video, but just to recap, just the top 10. 10, Donna Vekic. 9, Barbora Krejcikova. 8, Karolina Muchova. 7, Coco Gauff. 6, Ons Jabeur. 5, Jelena Ostapenko. 4, Petra Kvitova. 3, Iga Swiatek. 2, Aryna Sabalenka. 1, Elena Rybakina. If you ask me who I think is going to win Wimbledon in 2023, my answer is Elena Rybakina is going to defend her title. There you go. There's the power rankings with quite a few honourable mentions. Again, apologies to the editor. If I am fired, there will be a statement issued forthwith. But I'm hoping to return on Saturday for a draw preview on WTA Weekly. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the other content we've got coming, particularly John, Jakub, and Damien's reaction to both draws coming out. And that's an outtake that's probably going to stay in. But I feel that's a suitable revenge. Thank you all for watching and bearing with my crazy predictions. We'll see how crazy they are in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I'll see you all soon. Take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.